All right, it's 6:01. I'm going to call the Board of Selectmen's budget workshop to order and invite Selectman Muska to lead us to the Pledge of Allegiance.
United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Four of the five members of the Board of Selectmen are here and present. Selectman Yagelov is not. Don't know where he is. I am going to ask that we start off with building department. It's just like senior staff meetings where like on line of sight and just keep moving to the right. Thank you. Sure. Thank you.
You only need one, that's fine. Thank you.
The budget didn't change much. Salaries are the same, just no changes outside the application. She can be. Because Angela, I think it's a perfect time now. She belongs to ITC. Member of, we got to pay for that. He has to go for training for that. And what that allows her to do, she can, if somebody has a code question, you can now answer it without us getting in trouble for it. Let's see.
Roger.
Code as for electrical code, plumbing code, that kind of.
The building code.
Or building code.
Yeah,
Just
building.
building code, okay.
The ICC, the International Code Council's building code. That's what it's called.
Yeah. Thank you. And also, it's digital code, which is online code. So if somebody has a question, and this is what I use it for primarily is, somebody has a question, I go right into it. I can download it and send it right to them, and it's within a minute they have it. So it really helps us out. Supplies was really what we were asking for last year, and I think we just got 1,000 last year, and we asked for the same amount, but that's for code books. Now the codes are going to change. We don't know if they're going to change this year or next year. So they tend not to tell us last year. So, I might need that money and I might not, but if it is, then I'm going to need the code book. And they're quite expensive. Now, for professional thing, for field coverage if we need it. Sample drawings if the codes change. And then the notice.
Any questions or comments for Ken? While you're here, although it's not all the way in your budget, but we should talk about, especially because it involves fruit too. Tell the board what you're trying to do with the permitting software.
Okay.
Yes, I'll even feel more comfortable.
Yeah. Yeah, that does involve fruit and I. So what we're looking to do is change our permitting software. What we have right now, it doesn't allow Ruth or any other department really to jump on and they could see exactly what I'm doing like for the assessors, if they could see every permit and everything that is being approved, that COs that have been closed out, they could just go right in and see it. It just helps them out. So we're trying to get something. I've been trying to do this for a while where it encompasses everybody. It includes all departments, right? We all work together. So this software does that. And it's really, really good, especially for Ruth. For what I do, I mean, I can use just about anything. But for all the other departments, they really need something that everyone can see what everybody is doing. So this one, it seems like the best option. Ruth and I have been searching quite a few for the money. What we get for it, it's the best option we have. But we have to do something. What we have right now. I couldn't, I was out doing inspections today and I just had to take my laptop, my iPad and just put it to the side because it wouldn't work. You know, or these other options will work offline. And as soon as I get to a place where there is storage, it'll automatically upload.
So is the new software cloud-based or like
Yeah. Yeah, it is.
off-site based?
Yeah, it's called Cloud Permit.
Okay,
Yeah, and we have some paperwork on it. We can give it to you guys. I didn't know I would have had it ready for you guys. I can go back to my office after I'm done and print it out if you'd like.
Just follow up with an email to the board would probably be fine.
Okay,
But the overall cost,
so the overall cost is what's your end?
If you put in.
Yeah, so if we put in for the code enforcement, which that's what I've been doing right now. This time of year, so any abandoned house, structures that are falling in, I have to put an unsafe notice on them. So I take pictures, and now right now I have it in like 2 or 3 different programs to keep track of it. This I could do it right from my iPad. Take pictures of it, put my notes in, address, and just save it, and it's right there. There is that module of it. That would be another like $5,000 per year. But for Ruth and I, it's about $10,000
so it's $15,000 a year for the whole
for
package.
the whole thing.
And is there like a conversion fee or anything like that? Like for getting all our current data out of
Yeah,
whatever?
there's
Permit link, right?
Yeah, there's a setup fee, and how much was that? 7?
4,500?
So
4,500.
4,500. Okay, thank you.
so, but the 4,500 you guys are paying for out of your current year's budget and just splitting the cost of that. That's my recollection. Is that correct?
We could do that, yes.
Yeah,
If we start. It's budgeted. It's.
Okay, it is budgeted to be able to do that. I see.
yeah. So I could do that right.
Yeah.
Okay, but the ongoing annual
Try to trick you.
expenses is 15,000,
It's 15,000.
which we have in the IT budget.
9 and change.
But
I didn't know about, if you put the 15. I didn't know about the code
Yeah, yeah.
enforcement until just now.
Okay, so we have the 9,600 or whatever that number is in the IT budget.
It's our agreement with permitting, do we have a contract or anything like that?
We do have a contract with them.
So would we be, if we terminated that, is there a fee for that as well?
I don't remember.
Well,
That was almost before my time.
Right.
That was like one of the first things that we did when I got here was convert over to permit link. Because we had to go through the whole permit fiasco, where they wouldn't give us our data.
Right,
But there's another part to that, and I don't know how it's gonna work, but they owe Ruth that we have. They paid a small part of it, but they were gonna build a whole module for Ruth.
Yeah.
For planning and zoning. All right, so she can put her permits in there and do everything she needs to do in this one module and it'd be part of permit. They've been promising it for 2 years. And they haven't upheld their part of it.
That's the intriguing part of the cloud permit is it has all that functionality to have the land use permitting process go electronic. And the benefits for us, not just the review piece, getting feedback in one place, every phone call can get logged in to an application, and every email all tracked in one place. But it also has functions where you can do tasking for conditions of approval, send out reminders on that if things are expire. It's that automated piece that Permanent was working on building for us that they have. And then it has benefits where it works with the GIS system. So you could actually see pinpoints of where there's construction going on or permitting going on in town. Click on a given property. Everything that's happening there is available. It's very slick. I like it a lot for what it offers. And yes, we've been back and forth with Permanent Link. They just keep reinventing how they're going to create this module that's not come to fruition.
One of the most important things to me was that how easy it was to use. You know, if I'm gonna use it, it needs to be easy. You know, I mean, that's the bottom line, but. And then there's the public side of it. I wanted to see that, and so did Ruth. We just really wanted to see how easy it was for the public to go in. And either just review what we have. Or do permits or whatever they need. And it was pretty simple.
So currently, how I'm assuming that we are tracking our bonds manually, spreadsheets. And so does this new software have a way to like put those ticklers into your calendar where, you know, this bond is going to expire or whatever? That would be helpful, probably.
That was effectively the module that they were supposed to be building.
Correct. And it has some other features and, you know, obviously it's what you feed it is what it can spit out, right? But it has a freedom of information type module. If you want information about a specific property or permit, it will data mine those into a document with an index front. And, you know, nice to have that if you want to know about it. Whatever depot, type that in. It's gonna.
Gives you all the documents related.
It's
And-
the right size.
And so this is going to be built into our operating budget from a cost perspective, whereas the current system is a user fee model. So you only pay for it if you use it currently, but we're going to build that in. We had talked, the four of us, about building in a revenue projection so that we could effectively offset that cost. But that is based on the number of permits that are collected, but that is a little bit of a different model.
Yeah, so. Basically, I would leave it the way it is right now. So it's X amount of dollars. Per permit, for permit link. I would just leave that fee in there, it wouldn't go away. And that would offset the costs.
Well, accounting wise, we can't really do that. We'd have to have a revenue line,
Right.
tracking the revenue and the expenditure would be in the IT budget.
Which is how we have it structured in what was submitted.
Yes.
It will work. It's just different. And I want you guys to understand that is different. It works fine, but
So where exactly is this in the budget then?
IT.
It's in IT, and that's not taking into consideration if there is a conversion fee and a termination fee and all that.
Not considering the termination fee. I don't believe that there is one, but we'll have to check on that. We're not at the approval of the contract phase
Right.
here. But it is a budget implication, so we wanted you guys to know that that was part of what they're working. Other questions or comments for Ken about the software or any part of his budget?
Quick question, your revenues from permits, how much of an increase is that this year from previous years, or is that stable?
This year? This year was, I can't compare it to last year. Last year we had the solar field,
Oh, okay.
but this year it was on par with previous years, maybe a little bit more.
Both Ken and Ruth are gonna come back to talk to us at a future meeting, I think it's the next one, about changing their fee schedules.
That makes sense.
Yeah, so that's another thing I'm trying to do. I'm not trying to throw everything at you guys. It's just something I've been talking about. Basically, just trying to simplify things. And I'll put that in front of you.
All right, if there's nothing further for Ken, we're all done. Thanks. You're next. Do I have the Excel?
Yes.
First selecting level ratings.
It's been something for
Oh, I understand why it's so tiny now.
That you can read it.
Hey, you know what? You live and learn. The next time I give that exact same presentation, people will be able to see it. And you know what? I did 14, thinking that that was the rule of thumb.
I've summarized my budget. Same format you just saw, the town planner budget. Same thing, it's 282, 241. Salary makes up 80. Budget. Full-time employee. Professional services makes up 17% budget, and that reflects the yearly contract. We support the group. This year with the gift to be updated. After EPC supporting the Economic Development Commission. Support and the technical consulting. Remainder of professional services is the 2,500. And we'd be putting that towards software. And advertising makes up just 1% of our budget. That's the legal notices and such. With $3,000 in that account, and fees, dues, supplies, and travel 2%. At 3,696. Talked about updating the fee schedule. One of the things that we'd like to do is put in the legal notice fees into the application fees for the land use permit. the commissions that, the planning and development department staff. With them. And the total value, in the budget is 13,100, and that covers reporting secretary fees and fees and dues for professional organizations and required training. Overall, the budget has increased.
I'm glad to see you categorizing the commissions in the way you did. I thought about doing that too throughout the totality of the budget, because I just wanted to see what that information looked like. I may still go back to that. But I appreciate the thought process there. Those flat budget, any questions, comments, concerns? Pete?
A couple of questions. So again, going back to the left-hand column here, just trying to understand back in, I'm not sure fiscal year 3 actuals. I'm not sure what year that is. That's last year. So there was originally a full-time salary line of 151,000, and that jumped to 211. And it was a part-time salary of 6,800, and that's gone. So we went up about 60-something thousand dollars in the full-time salary.
It didn't go up. That was the year that we didn't have staff for a lot of the year in the planning office. So you're looking at actuals versus requested. That was the first year that we brought on Tyke, which is in the professional services, but we had savings through attrition when we didn't have a planner and an assistant planner. And I think we also didn't have clerical support at the same time, if I'm remembering correctly. But there was substantial turnover in that year, and that's what you're seeing reflected there.
So if you go to the middle column, or sort of the middle column there, the full-time salary went from 224 to an actual of 129,486.
Yeah, that's year-to-date actual, so it's how.
Okay, all right.
Just through December.
Yeah. So there's 3 employees in the department. I guess I wanted to know, we're paying over $50,000 a year to a consultant, and I get it that, originally when you came on, the goal was to get things up to speed and everything, but I mean, why are we paying a consultant $50,000 a year when we have a fully staffed planning department?
He does things, because there's collective bargaining rules around this, but he does things now that are generally outside of the scope of what the collective bargaining job descriptions are. For example, he does most of what our grant writing is. He's been the primary author of several $1 million worth of grants that the town has gotten back. And he also provides much of the reporting that's associated with that. He's a chunk of what he does serves as the town's grant writer, which we had not had previously.
Yeah, I mean, if I come to the planning meetings, planning and zoning meetings, and if I watch them, he's there. He's getting paid to come to all the meetings and present the applications. You're partnering with him for these things, right?
He does. He's gonna help with the Economic Development Commission as well, give some training sessions to folks there. Yeah, he has a flat fee.
That has never gone up.
It's not gone up since I've been here. And
I think
he
50.
supports us in projects.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of departments would benefit from somebody who's hired to support for grant writing and for all of the rest of it. But I mean, we're paying $50,000 flat fee instead of having a consultant that we pay, so we can measure the amount of work that they do. I just think it's a lot of money for a small town like for ours to have a pretty much a full-time consultant. He's not full-time. To pay a consultant $50,000 a year in addition to having full-time employees running planning and zoning. I mean, this is not like a large city. This is a small town. And yeah, we get benefit from hiring anybody. But I mean, I thought it was temporary and wasn't going to be permanent. It looks like it's turning into a permanent person here. Is there any way to get do they provide a list of the work that they've done in a year? And how much do they do it? They do tell us at the end of the year, this is what we did. This is approximately how much time we spent on it. that kind of thing?
We don't, we have some detail in the support, like the spreadsheet that we submit,
Right.
some of the things that he's supporting on. Certainly, we can create the things that he's worked on, but in the, get these. There's detail on the 12 months. Type.
Raising the issue that I thought this was a temporary thing. We had changes in department, we had turnover in department, we were hiring a consultant to come in and get things on track and keep things moving along, but at some point, you know, having a relatively small town with a small planning department and paying someone over $50,000 a year after year to do work, yeah, I mean, grants are important, grant writing is important. The town should probably we should probably outsource a grant writer to support all the departments and pay them per application,
Well,
whatever they
he
get.
doesn't just support the planning department in that regard. He does support really any of for example, Park Hill just this week got recognized with $2 million from CDBG. He was
Right.
instrumental in that. I mean, he wasn't the sole person in that, but he
Okay.
played a significant role in getting that done.
But that's
That
what,
alone, $2 million against a $50,000 a year contribution, I can't even do what that math is, like a 400% ROI.
but I don't think you can look at it and say, okay, I mean, we have $224,000 of salaries. That doesn't include benefits. That's the salaries to support the department. We have $250,000 being spent on our planning department. That's a good amount of money. And no, I'm not talking about your work and allocating it, just that. So I think I had an expectation. I think a lot of people had an expectation this was a temporary thing. Now it's turned into a permanent $50,500 annual expense. I mean,
Yes,
no,
let's not overstate.
50,000, no, it's 50,500. That's the budget.
That's not just him, though. That's other professional services as well.
$48,000. There you go. $48,000 permanent expense for the town when was intended to be I thought it was intended to be helped it with the transition. Because normally you hire a planner has staff, planner does the work associated with the planning department. Where this person was hired because we wanted to deal with some issues about the change and everything that happened there.
So if we wanted to hire an employee to do the work that Mike is doing, that would cost us somewhere in the ballpark of $120,000 to $130,000.
See, that's
salary increment.
See, I don't support that argument that people bring value to the town. Every employee we had brings value. You know, we could say the same about our tax collector. She brings in, $30 million of tax revenue. Of course, she's valuable. And other people bring in other stuff and the people in public works do their work. I just don't know. I'm just raising the point. I don't know how a small town like East Windsor that has sort of like we don't have a really robust, well, I should say robust. We don't have huge projects going on up and down Route 5 and around the quarters. We have regular sized projects going on at a regular pace.
I think it brings a lot of value in the space of where our staff are working on the day-to-day, here comes a subdivision, this kind of stuff, where he's working on, now the state wants you to do a low-income housing, plan, very specific technical stuff, the Route 5 study, the Warehouse Point study, like he's involved with the technical things of all those things where it's a value add to the town because staff has the everyday serving the taxpayers, the developers, all that stuff.
Right.
So this gives, and for 50,000, I think that's a pretty good deal.
Well, I guess you're.
48,000.
I guess I would say, I don't really know if 48 is a good deal or not. I hear what you're saying about the need for these things, but I don't know, we don't have any measurable to say that's a good deal or not, just because it's money. But I hear what you're saying. I'm listening to what you're saying, Alan, about the fact that these other things take more than regular planning work, right? Like, these things, but I just didn't think it was going to be permanent in our budget year after year. I thought we were just going to be, and we still potentially could contract out for services and say, listen, we have a Route 5 study, we have a low-income housing study, we have a Warehouse Point study, and then have them do it for whatever they charge, $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 project, we make a decision.
That is not what the charge rate for that.
No, yeah, that's,
Then maybe
that's
we
pie
should-
in the sky. That
then
never
maybe-
happened.
Then maybe we shouldn't do some of it because we can't afford it to do some of these studies. The Route 5 study hasn't let us. I don't know.
We got a grant for that.
Good, then we didn't have to, then we don't have to pay him for it, so, right?
No, that happened, when Bob was first elected.
We got a grant.
Yeah, we got a 90-10 match, paid for through CROG and DOT.
Okay, all right. We're here to discuss issues in the budget. I'm just raising an issue. I find it,
Any other points that, anybody wants to bring up on this budget?
I think what Mr. D'Amato brings to the table is great, and I think he offers a lot of support to Ruth and the planning department, and I feel like so far the results have been really good with him, and I think, like we said, hiring somebody to do the work he's doing would be a lot more cost to the taxpayers than what we're paying now for the services that we're getting.
Anything else for Ruth? Thank you.
Thank you.
Amy Lamb, we got to get you out of here. You have book club, right?
Sound like it's gonna go well for you.
Oh, I think.
I have to pick my daughter up.
So, what? Yeah, it's just easier. I feel like I've been in my budget really haven't been that much. Just a little increase in supplies, dues and fees, travel, medical. Lots of things. I think everybody kind of going up a little bit. I feel like our budget is always very, so there's not a whole lot of, wiggle room, but, for my office, I mean, for land records, vital records, there's stuff that has to get done. There's no way around it. We can't put anything off. So just making sure that we have more than enough, I mean, we have enough to get everything done. So it just really depends. Land record wise, people buying houses, people refinancing. So it kind of just depends on that. We had a lot of maps come through this past year, so questions?
Questions or comments about Amy's budget?
I have a comment. Is that okay?
Yep.
Oh, I think your group does a tremendous, awesome, fantastic job over there. Just very efficient. Customer service, you are too, Ruth, by the way. I didn't say that about your department. I looked over and I said, I didn't compliment your department too.
Well, we're really not here to talk about people's performance.
I'm here to compliment to Amy and her group for doing a fantastic job, customer facing work, and very efficient and well-run department. I want to say thank you for that.
So just, with the early voting, I know the registrars take care of a lot of that. But did your office see an increase or anything over any of that time period? Or anything that you?
Like an increase for just like election? I mean, increase, I mean, but not really.
Okay.
I mean, the absentee ballots, I mean, I don't know how to get around this saying, like, I don't want to pat my office on the back, but I feel like we really do a good job of, all three of us working together. I mean, it's tough to find that sometimes. I'm very lucky with my staff. All of us, get along really well. We have each other's back. If somebody doesn't finish something, the other person will pick up where they left off. We've never had a with like the absentee ballots. 2020 was really like the big,
Yeah.
the big mess, for us, which I think we did a good job then. So literally anything that's less than 2020, we're fine with handling. We had, even 2020, we had minimal outside help for absentee ballots that we had. So I don't really see that much of a difference. I mean, the early voting definitely, is very heavy for this presidential, obviously, if you saw the numbers. So I feel like, you know, the absentee ballots, we didn't have a whole lot, because I feel like most people wanted to do early vote. So I haven't really seen, you know, that much of a change. Thanks.
Training for the new system that's supposed to begin to go.
So, okay, yep,
Did we
so,
contemplate on the budget for that?
yep, no, you mean,
Did you put that training time for you and your staff in the budget? Or-
so they're having training at the Secretary of State's office or in one of their training rooms on May 2nd. So the register of voters are going in the morning. Our staff can go in the afternoon. We can only send 2. So, myself and Larissa will go. So she's part-time. So, the nice thing about that is she's really great about working with her hours and, you know, covering what needs to be covered. So I asked her if she wanted to go because it's on a Friday afternoon. So she'll probably just not work one of the days, or, you know, part-time, it's holidays, they don't get paid for. So she usually has some hours to make up. So that training will, make up for some of her hours. And then, Lynn, I think they are doing something where they can watch online, but I just saw the email. Yeah, so, she'll probably just be able to watch it. But it's very nice and very convenient. I'm old school. I like in-person training. I don't want to be on a Zoom call. I want to be at a training computer. When, like, I started being a clerk, I went to this, Hartford, and, you know, they had stuff in front of you and training module. It's a lot easier to learn stuff that way personally for myself. So. forward with that.
Other questions or comments for Amy? Release. Let's go to registrars. Oh, I love podium. You don't have to. If you want to bring a couple of chairs up, you can do that too.
You're putting them together. Even, we really didn't know. Early voting was not thing until last year, so it was very flexible and thinking, Amy and Jason very understanding about, where we had to spend our money and how we overspent some things and underspent others. This year's budget, I think, will reflect the changes. I think it makes it a little more accurate. And we have our second page of explanations that talks about what we're doing. So if you have any questions, I thought we were below last year, but I had not included $10,000 in Amy's budget, of course. I didn't do it on purpose. I just didn't capture the top 10,000. So we have new voting machines coming in. In fact, I talked about it yesterday at the staff meeting. We are getting no answers from the Secretary of State as to any kind of fees that we have to pay, any kind of maintenance.
We're getting 13. Ask them why 13, because you only have 6 now. Explain that these voting machines are different. They actually make an image of each ballot. They are longer to do that. Each ballot is this, or is a few more seconds.
Yeah, we were concerned the lines were getting too short.
Yeah, but yeah.
I used that joke yesterday, full disclosure.
Maybe why.
What's the purpose of it merging the ballot? Is it, longer keep the hard copies?
Record
I'm
keeping.
hoping,
We don't
and I'm
know.
hoping that it somehow links into the Secretary of State's
Yeah.
total vote system so that we don't have to then, after
Manually.
everybody's voted, manually go in
Yeah.
and check off every voter as to how they voted, which to me is a pretty antiquated system.
Yeah.
So maybe somehow it links together, and that's why they're replacing both the voting machines and the software that we use to connect with the Secretary of State.
Denise, I think that's gonna happen.
You don't think?
The name of the person isn't on the ballot when it goes through the machine.
No.
It's, sorry, not to interrupt.
It's okay.
I mean, this is me, I'm a common sense
Right.
person. It should be checking in somebody at a computer.
I was,
And
yeah, I was just wondering if the totals, if they're copying the ballot itself, which is anonymous, nobody knows. Yeah, it's absolutely right. Is that automatically being total and going right into the number? So at the end of the night, they already know what to report?
I think so.
Is that what's gonna happen?
I think so.
That's awesome. if that's
And
gonna happen.
I'm thinking, to sort of complement what Amy is saying, I am thinking they had us, if you all experienced the early voting, we had those guns that we would, do the,
Yeah, yeah.
scan the voter's name
Yeah.
and stuff. If there's that, that's linked to the voter's name, which then could be read into now, this may be
Just that
a
they voted.
4-year process. But if they voted early.
Yeah.
They voted on a different day, so it might be able to do it, but we're not being told anything.
We're gonna have a training session, so I wouldn't want to get too far ahead of ourselves. We don't know exactly how the
Yeah.
machines work.
Yeah.
And hopefully it's user friendly and less attention to all this.
That would almost eliminate having to have moderators and teachers.
Would work for us.
That-
Okay, all right, enough.
We have no idea. It's all speculation, but
so,
and that's in May, so
yeah,
we can update
yeah.
the board once we know what's going on. Yes.
Yeah, just this concept of scanning, and you're talking about like keeping it anonymous, but it seems that if they scan a ballot and they're keeping track of the time that it was scanned, because there'll be some data there about the scan time. And if it's slow and somebody's walking through and checking in at a particular time, and there's probably a record of what time you've entered the data on for when they check in, maybe. And so it seems like it'd be very simple for somebody to say, oh, this person walked in there and at 4:50 and then the ballot was cast at 4:51. And if you were to compare, you theoretically could know how somebody voted.
We don't keep track of what time somebody votes,
You don't.
not at all.
So it's always going to be it's not going to be entered in a computer.
I
Okay,
know that those scans and those ballots, if that's
even more-
even public.
Yeah.
That, like I said, not until
Yeah.
the training comes and you know exactly what's going on, I would think that would be something that would be open just for anybody to come in and
Right.
ask for us.
As long as I've been involved with voting and all parts of the government here, in doing this registrar job, I am amazed at the security around keeping people's privacy and the security around having the whole voting process very, very secure. So
Right.
they would never, I'm sure they would never have something that would be able to link Joe Schmo voted at this time and here's how he voted.
well, I think you're thinking about the security of it and all of you have been thinking about it, the fact that they're scanning things, and I'm just, we're all going to be thinking about, if we think about the process, we're all going to be thinking about making sure that everything is kept anonymous and secure.
I think
That's
the
all.
point, just if you don't mean the interjection, what I think Denise was trying to refer to
Yeah.
is right now, you come in and the new way they're scanning the people's information. So on the system that
Right.
they're voting. So at the end of the voting cycle is done, they then have to take the list that they cross the names off as you come in, and they have to manually enter it to system that person voted on this date. They won't have to do that, because I think it'll just
Maybe.
feed over, maybe, that's.
That would
what
be a
they do.
speculation.
But that's speculation.
But
Okay.
it's.
Yeah.
But it doesn't link the two together.
Right. we have to be careful that nobody tries to do that.
Yeah.
That's all, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Denise and I to keep both parties represented at each, as we check,
Right.
registrars and deputy registrars and tabulator tenders, you know, try to keep it that and transparent and above board, so.
Yeah, I wasn't saying anybody from the town would be trying to do that match. I'm just thinking, you know, with everything going on with AI and data and people now taking all kinds of data and running through these systems, if somebody had access to the data there and they had access to there and they knew what time they checked in, they could probably pretty, in a matter of seconds, put together who probably voted in which way. And we just have to protect that data because,
I mean, we
Right.
can do it. I mean, absentee ballots, I'm scanning everybody in the system.
right?
They're getting checked in, right, for a ballot. So absentee ballots are getting put onto our system now, CVRS. The early voting got put onto CVRS. I mean, like I said, common sense, it just makes sense to have people who are walking in the day of that, you know, so if you were on early voting, you wouldn't be able to check somebody in. It would alert you if they had absentee ballot, or vice versa. If somebody early voted and tried to come in and get an absentee ballot, we tried that in our office just to see what would happen, so,
The system-
I think
Your system is evolving too. We had a question on the ballot about absentee ballots.
No excuse.
No excuse absentee ballots. There may be some changes to that. And Amy's gonna need another couple of staff members.
we'll do that, we keep our budget down.
Yeah, but it's a lot of, we had a lot of same day registrations. That was like avalanche of people that, you know, you're obligated. I ended up doing that in the annex. You're supposed to call the town they came for, they lived in and verify they didn't vote there first. And that was a daunting task, you know. I have a line of people, same day registration. You know, stuff. But I mean, editorialize. I just want to thank your deputy selectman, Marie and her daughter. They really helped out. Knowledgeable people and they stepped up to the plate
Volunteered.
and volunteered. Yeah, very helpful. Thank you. But we need more poll workers nonetheless. So put the word out. Family and friends, you get paid and we feed you too.
Any questions?
Thank you, guys. I just want to say, I appreciate what you guys have done since you stepped in under trying circumstances, and
Yeah.
that was a tough position you found yourself in, and you really,
Well, okay.
you did a great job, and we appreciate it.
Thank you.
Cemetery.
That bad.
You guys are usually the last stop, but you don't have to be last tonight.
We have a line item for them or?
They're in activities.
That's the addendum. You have the.
We have, in the books, we have whatever you gave us. Okay. Supplement, yes.
Or one more different.
Yeah. So if you go to the activity B sheet,
yeah, I'm there.
the next thing should be the cemetery stuff.
It's not. It's not. I got filled in. But I know it's here because I saw it.
It's on this page.
I got it.
He can give you more paper.
I got it.
Mine's in that protection thing. I can find mine, sorry.
I should have put it.
I compared it to last.
Would you like a paper? Oh, you got it. Okay.
No, I'm gonna give it.
but if you reviewed it, are there any? I think the biggest thing to point out from a revenue standpoint, our second line item on here is net income of burials and foundations. One of the biggest changes that we had last year was the loss of St. Catherine's Cemetery. So it is not owned by the town, but we were handling the internments there, and every burial. What's up?
I don't think I knew that.
Um,
How long had you been doing St. Cat, like forever?
pretty much, yeah.
I did not know that.
So every burial that we do, we made a small profit off of, and then we would put that towards funding, all of the other expenses that we have for maintenance and things in the town-owned cemeteries. And abruptly, we got a "thank you for your service, you're no longer needed" letter a day after they wanted to discontinue us. So there wasn't really any explanation to that. I think it was something to do with the archdiocese and bringing things in-house. So St. Catherine's is now handling their own burials. We no longer have about half of the burials that we did, but our other, expenses that we net against that, which are really our administrative costs, insurance and things of that nature, are the same. So we'll see how this year shakes out. We threw a number at that of $5,000. I think we'll still be positive, depending on how many burials we have in the town cemeteries. So that was really the biggest change for us, was in that line item. And then, down below, what we tried to do this year is start to identify more of the projects that are longer term. And on the spreadsheet you have, there was a lot of question marks, which is why we had the addendum that we handed out that Austin was so nice to prepare for you.
Okay.
So I'll let him talk to that a little bit, and then take any questions that you guys have.
So last year, there's some additional funding that was, I believe it's still available, but restricted to both asphalt for Windsorville Cemetery.
And tree removal.
Sorry,
It was the paving and the tree removal.
were those two separate? It was,
Did we
It was
look?
the 27,500 difference from the 25,000 that we gave them.
Yeah.
Less the 52,500 that they asked.
But did we split out the, so it's all in one line?
Yep.
there's one. Miscommunicated that or misinterpreted that. So that will be in the works. I just need to, contact Eve or follow up with W and see what the quote was. It was not ONG, it was,
Hundreds.
Ongoing. That being said, we did do some tree removal and Scannick. It was not on our initial list. We found some more pressing trees that needed to come down first. And then there's still that row. We'll probably keep one or two maples in there for. They're still safe and they bring some sort of scenery to the location. Another component we'd like to implement possibly this summer was head preservation. I spoke with a colleague and Enfield and Summers received, I believe, roughly 10,000 from their towns to preserve and restore between 10 and 20 headstones each year. And got me on intrigued with that was the I.B. Benjamin headstone on North Street,
Page.
which is leaning towards the road. Once weather permits, I believe we're gonna have to proceed with that one regardless of funding. And it's not just to preserve the headstone, but it's also well, it is to preserve the headstone, but it's also the underlying premise is it's someone's burial, it's the place of rest.
This particular one, there's also kind of a safety issue
Yeah.
because it's so tall.
Another item in the near future that's gonna have to be replaced is the fencing at Melrose Cemetery, which is just under 800 feet 3 sides. And, I'm still waiting to hear back for an estimate. The request of 30,000 is just an estimate put down on paper. I believe the one on Stanek was around, that was like 10, 15 years ago, that was over 20 grand just for that.
Yeah.
And that's 200 PFS. So we're getting quotes on that. At the moment. Tree removal.
Questions or comments?
Although they alluded to the percentage of their income they have, but we don't have, anything from them indicating what their income is. Do you have any of the financial records that is required?
We get their audit, when we get it done every year. It gets filed with the town clerk.
Yes, we have review level financial statements that are done by our accountant annually. So usually they're submitted, March, April, May timeframe.
But they do submit it every year.
It's done we're on a calendar year, not year.
So I can get a copy of that from town clerk's office?
Yep.
Last. Well,
Yeah,
it'd be
yeah.
2 years ago right
It'd
now.
be 2 years ago now.
Correct.
It's due every 2 years.
No, it's due annually, but it's not due until, like you said, April or something.
Right, it would be calendar year 23. Calendar year 24 is not.
Other questions or comments?
My concern is with the town grant money every year, the request is going up and up and up. Because the revenues are going down and down. I understand that. But have you guys done any outward projection on the fact that a lot of people now aren't being buried in cemeteries, they're being cremated instead? And that certainly is going to have some impact on your income moving forward. Have you done any evaluation as to what it might look like a year down, 2 years down, or there's no way to do that
So
from your
a
standpoint?
majority of the burials that we do are cremations. And I guess the other side of that is you can put multiple cremations in one
Right.
lot. So the lot sales say it's been fairly steady. It's only a handful each year. I mean, some years, coming out of COVID, we might have had 20, but it might be 5 or 6 each year. But the overall burials, as long as I've been doing it the last 10 years or so, have been, relatively stable. It might be we might have had a low year of maybe 60 at the time. That includes St. Catherine's up to, 100, 110. Some of the tree work stuff that we talk about, could be for future expansion, but obviously that may be down the road if the lot sales, kind of stay at the rate that they're at.
What is the immediate need for you guys right now? If you had to, this list up here, is it trees or is it?
Trees?
We were a little surprised by the tree money, when we sat down with Jason and Amy, so we weren't aware of that at the time, but, trees are, I guess, always a problem because there's a safety standpoint. And then there's also, the trees as they get bigger and bigger, if we wanted to clear land for future expansion, they become more and more expensive to purchase.
Anything else for you, gentlemen? Thanks, fellas.
Thank you.
Okay, we're gonna adjourn the budget workshop and transition into the selectmen's meeting.
I can